Hello students, once again welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to read a poem from your course book, and the title of the poem is Imagination. See, chapter number 6. But before we read the poem, let's ponder a few moments. Identify these famous characters from children's book. Do you read children's book? Have you ever seen these pictures, these famous characters? See, you have to identify them and write their names in the space given below the pictures. So you can see Winnie the Pooh, Mowgli. You have to identify them. Did you know Harry Potter is one of the three most read books in the world? Have you ever read Harry Potter? Or have you seen the Harry Potter movie? Books open doors to a whole new world. Do you agree? Discuss. Now let's read the poem. I used to play at pirates and sail the seven seas. Then I was a cowboy. These simple things did me please. I had a vivid imagination. Adventure was always on my mind. I discovered the joys of reading and escaped the daily grind. Once I lived with the Eskimos in the land of ice and snow, went hunting and fishing. My fantasy was all aglow. I read a book of Jules Verne and went off to the moon. It was just to take a look, then it was time to return. I spent time in the forest of Africa with Dr. Livingstone as my guide, then off again to America. With Huckleberry Finn I did hide. In my world of fantasy and imagination, I performed such wonderful deeds, a hero of all the nations. I was the one that did succeed. Let's check out the word meanings first here. Pirate, a person who attacks and robs ships at sea. Seven seas, all the oceans of the world. We have seven seas. Cowboy, a man on horseback who herds and tends cattle, especially in the western United States. Cowboys. Daily grind, chore, a glow, glowing. Ditch, brave axe. Jules Verne was a French novelist. He was in fact one of the first writers of science fiction. Dr. Livingstone, he was a Scottish missionary and explorer. Huckleberry Finn, he is the protagonist of the novel Adventure of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. Let's continue reading the poem. Then I grew up, my childish world at an end. I had become serious, it nearly dropped me around the bend. I still do like the mysterious. This is the message I am trying to send. Bernard Shaw. Around the bend, meaning crazy. Let's read the poem again. It is written by Bernard Shaw. I used to play at pirates and sail the seven seas. Then I was a cowboy. These simple things did me please. I had a vivid imagination. Adventure was always on my mind. I discovered the joys of reading and escaped the daily grind. Once I lived with the Eskimos in the land of ice and snow. When hunting and fishing, my fantasy was all aglow. I read a book of Jules Verne and went off to the moon. It was just to take a look, then it was time to return. I spent time in the forests of Africa with Dr. Livingstone as my guide, then off again to America with Huckleberry Finn I did hide. In my world of fantasy and imagination, I performed such wonderful deeds, a hero of all the nations. I was the one that did succeed. Then I grew up my childish world at an end. I had to become serious. It nearly dropped me round the bend. I still do like the mysterious. This is the message I'm trying to send. Bernard Shaw. Let's check out the exercises here. Prepare. We all have favorite characters from the books we read or the movies we watch. Have an activity where you dress up like the character that influenced you the most and talk about him or her in the class. Practice comprehension. Answer these questions with reference to the context. I used to play at pirates and sail the seven seas. Who was pirates? What are the seven seas? How do you think the speaker sailed the seven seas? 2. I had a vivid imagination. Adventure was always on my mind. Give some instances which show that the speaker had a vivid imagination. Why do you think adventure was always on the speaker's mind? What did the speaker's vivid imagination help him to escape? Exercise B. Answer these questions. In his imagination, the poet also lived in Eskimo land. What did he do there? With whom did the poet spend time in the forests of Africa? Why did the poet think he was a hero? What change took place in the poet when he grew up? These questions you have to keep in mind while reading the poem again. Perfect poetry appreciation, expression from the poem, rhyming words. Exercise A. Make sentences with the following expression from the poem. Seven seas, daily grind, always on my mind, drop me round the bend. You can check out the meaning from the vocabulary given at the side of the poem. It will help you to make your own sentences using these expressions, these words. A rhyme is a repetition of similar sounding words occurring at the end of the lines in poems and songs. Rhymed adds musicality to the poem. For example, adventure was always on my mind. I discovered the joys of reading and escaped the daily grind. Here the word mind and grind have the same and rhyme. Mind and grind are rhyming words. Make a list of pairs of rhyming words in this poem. You will find plenty. You have to try this. Performed extension. A. The poem mentions pirates, cowboys, Eskimos, and so on. Make relevant marks and use them while reciting the poem using rhythms, accents, and expressions. At least you can collect pictures of pirates, cowboys, Eskimos, and so on, whatever mentioned in the poem, and try to use them as your marks while reciting the poem using rhythm, action and expression. For example, if you have pirate's marks, you will act like a pirate while reading the reciting the poem. If you have a cowboy hat, you can try acting like a cowboy. Eskimos, you might have seen the picture of Eskimos. This will be very exciting. You have to try this. Now let me summarize the poem for you to understand better and give the answers of the given questions properly. This poem, Imagination, is written by Bernd Shaw. This poem, Imagination, depicts the beauty of childhood, where kids play roles of cowboys and pirates and Eskimos. The poet says that he used to escape the daily grind and move to a magical world of his own by reading. He enjoyed the books of Jules Verne, who was one of the foremost novelists writing science fiction. The poet mentioned the famous explorer Dr. Livingstone and also speaks of Mark Twain's character Huckleberry Finn, an adventurous, troublesome boy. The poet says that he performed wonderful deeds in his imaginative world. The poet then grew up to be serious when he became old, but yet he still liked the mysteries as he did in childhood. When the poet becomes old, everything changes. Even though he likes the mysteries of his childhood, but the imagination and the fascination a child can have in his childhood days is nothing compared to an old man's serious works, serious lifestyle. Okay. Here in this poem, the poet mentioned pirates. Pirates are thieves that attack and rob ships at sea. The poet even claimed that he had sailed the seven seas, and the seven seas are the oceans of the world. The poet, that is the speaker in the poem, claimed that he has sailed the seven seas in his imagination. The poet imagines things like sailing the seven seas, living with Eskimos, going off to the moon, etc., and to be in company of famous imaginative characters or real characters as he pleased. Adventure was always on the speaker's mind because he had a vivid imagination, and his imagination was very powerful. He could create a world of his own with the help of his imagination and creativity. The speaker's vivid imagination helped him to escape the boredom of the daily chores. In Eskimo land, he imagined that he went hunting and fishing. The poet spent time with Dr. Livingstone in the forests of Africa in his imagination. The poet also thought that he was a hero as he would perform brave acts in his imagination. But when he grew up, he became old. He became serious, and his childish world came to an end. This poem, Imagination, laid stress on the importance of imagination, especially the imaginations of the children's. The children's imagination, their powers to imagine, to create a world different from those of adults' world, which is serious in nature. With the help of imagination, a child can escape from daily boredom. He can enjoy himself playing many characters in his imagination. Altogether, he can be very happy. The child is happy with his imaginative powers and creativity in his own world.